All right, and Marianne, do you want to share a screen or do you want to just?
I don't have a screen, it's just me talking.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to mute, and Marianne, you could introduce yourself.
Sure.
And
okay, thank you very much, Wanda, and Alberta Food Matters, and all the people that are on this great phone call, this Zoomy thing. I'm really pleased to be able to share what we're doing, and yeah, I'll just tell you that we have a farm. It's 35 acres, and it's very close to Edmonton. It's 20 minutes from Millwoods, for example, and it's called Good Note Community Farm. And when we first realized that we could afford this much land, I also realized that there's no way I would be able to steward it all by myself. So the main focus was to turn it into a community adventure. We belong and we homeschooled, so it was easy to find friends that were in on it with us, and they helped us build our straw bale home and planted half a mile of shelter belt, and just did so many things. So that was our core group of friends that did that, and from that has evolved over the last 16 years a really deep connection with the homeschoolers. I did write some notes, so I'm just going to make sure that I catch it all. Oh, and I just also wanted to say that music was a big part of that too, because of our family's interests and how that brings a community together. For us, it did, music. So that's where the Good Note came from. Ending on a good note is a positive spin on things. Optimism is my game, so I try to work on that. Yeah, so that's where the name came from. Let's see, what else did I write? Right, so what brought our homeschooling community together was gardening, wanting to be with our kids, teaching our kids about gardening, seed saving. We had so many monthly, weekly celebrations that all revolved around food and music. We called it the party curriculum. So there were a lot of parties and a lot of cultures represented and expressed and delved into during our own education of our own children. So that formed a bit of a basis for me to continue that as we go now. Yeah, a lot of it revolved around food and food culture. So yeah. So I guess I'll say that our farm itself is an open farm. We don't have gates. We let people come in whenever they want. There's no need to let me know ahead of time. I just want people to show up and think of it as their space to do their thing. So what we encourage is not just a one-time visit. I don't want to be a petting zoo. I want people to have a space they can come back to regularly and get to know it through the seasons. The crops are at different stages. The animals are at different stages. I always invite people to come and watch the birth sessions. The goats are super awesome at doing that during the day. So we've had many sort of galleries of families on one side of the fence while a doe is having a baby on the other side of the fence. And it's been magnificent for them to witness that. And I think it only went wrong once, and it wasn't even that wrong because of the way it happened. Like yes, the baby died, but the other two lived. And what we ended up doing a dissection and finding that rennet in the abomasum, the fourth stomach. And yeah, I have a zoology degree, so I'm very good at turning things into a learning opportunity, I guess. So yeah, it was really, really important for them to see all of that, the birth, the death, the breeding even. That's a thing. I mean, when the rooster's standing on top of the chicken, he is not attacking her and pulling her head off. that's an important lesson for some kids. They'll never see that, and they won't know how an egg gets fertilized unless they see that. So yeah. So that's the open farm side of things. And then what the other thing I stress with the kids and the families, adults as well, is the interactions between the animals and the plants. So we have about, it's not quite an acre, but it's almost an acre's worth of community garden space. And everyone who comes rents a plot. Their plot could be 25 feet long, or it could be 50 feet long, or there's a group of folks from India that have 5 plots, and they garden them together as their community, and they come together as a community and they garden together. So those garden plots are maintained by the people who come here, and we provide the compost for that, and that's from the cows, goats, chickens, and ducks. And that has been sitting in a pile for sometimes 2 or 3 years. But it's not sitting in the pile. The animals lay it where they lay it. Then we scoop that into a pile. That gets turned 2 or 3 times, and then that gets moved to the garden space. So in those turnings and movings, it's stirred quite a bit, and it composts beautifully. So it's a really great addition for those gardens, and they are just, the soil there is beautiful. And then in there we have shared crops of raspberries, rhubarb, asparagus, garlic, horseradish, and ashkaban. I don't know if you guys know this, but ashkaban is the word the indigenous peoples used for a sunflower relative. People changed it many times over the last 2-3 centuries. It was known as Jerusalem artichokes. Somebody changed it to sunchokes, but that still has the choke thing in it. So I like to call them ashkaban, which is their original name. So anyways, lots of sunchokes, sorry, ashkaban, still working on it. Yeah, so they're all the community crops, people will help us work on those together and harvest those together, and we share them with each other, make a potluck harvest meal at the end of the year, or if there's excess after that, we take it to the U of A student food bank. Yeah, so that's how the gardens interact with the animals and the compost for the crops. Oh, and the last interaction that's very important around here is how the cows are maintained on the grasses, so that the fields themselves are maintained, and the forage or the pasture itself is maintained by the action of the grazing of the cows. So we go into that a little bit with people too. So then I was going to tell you about the homeschooling programs that we do. I'm not sure where I'm at for timing. I could talk for a lot longer. Okay, so let's see. So the homeschooling programs that I've been doing for the last 10 years or so, we do 10 weeks in the spring and about 7 or 8 in the fall, depending on how early people want to start. So there's 10 weeks. They come every Wednesday if they are moms and younger kids, or every Friday if they're teenagers. And then the teenagers love that agency of being here by themselves. And yeah, there's so much that goes on with the teenagers. It's amazing. So every week they do the same thing every morning. They do the morning chores, which includes cleaning the pens, feeding the animals, making sure they have water, milking both the goats and the cows, straining that milk. Sometimes we need to feed the cultures because we're often making cheeses. You have to do something with that milk every day, relentless. They get to see that. And yeah, so that's the morning chores. And then they have a potluck. Well, last 3 years, we haven't had a potluck because of COVID, but the potluck aspect is pretty awesome because kids get to cook before they come. And so in the last 3 years, that hasn't happened. They've just brought their own food, hoping to get back into that. So then we have, oh, sorry. Oh, magnificent thing that happens right before lunch. So we've done the chores, we're all sweaty or hot or, dusty, whatever, poopy, probably from scooping poop. Everyone finds their own spot in the land. So our space has a lot of, you can see out the window. No, you can't see out the window. So it's a big field, and on one side of the field is the shelter belt that we're rewilding, and on the other side is our neighbors, and they have a quarter section of aspen forest that has not been grazed. So it's a lovely aspen forest with all of the good food in it still for everybody, not just us. So the kids, right before lunch, choose a spot, and it has to be in nature. It has to be by themselves, so they cannot talk. And they have to find the same spot for 10 weeks in a row. So they learn about solitude. They learn about what's in that spot, how that changes over the 10 weeks. And in spring and fall, those are pretty massive changes. They could be sitting in snow in April, and then by the end of June, they've got flowers growing around them. So if they're in the same spot the whole time, they learn so much just in that 10 minutes of solitude. So we call those nature backs. That happens right before lunch every day. Then lunch, then they usually eat in 10 minutes, and then they have about 50 minutes to run around and play and dig holes and have fun. And then in the afternoon from 1 till 3, we have different activities. And I just wrote down a bunch of them. So I mostly host these myself, but often I will get in some guest speakers who are experts at these things. So they spend the 2 hours with them, and I give them most of the money for that day. So there's gardening, seed saving, cooking, preserving harvests, cheese making, soap making, candles. We spin wool, we felt wool. I make baskets, so there's cattail and willow baskets that we make. We learn about knots. We've made clay and fired it. And we've made shelters. We've had some indigenous beadwork and some weaving. What's that? The Métis weaving. Some survival stuff, fire making. We have a pizza oven or a cob oven, so we're always making something in there. Sourdough, tending that sourdough. I call it countercultures. So there's sourdough and kefir and clabber and jun and something else I'm missing. I think there's 5 things growing on my counter all the time. We also do gleaning and foraging in those wild spaces, or for teas, we'll gather clover. We'll just make all sorts of wild crafted foods, and wayfinding. So noticing which way is south, finding out where the moss grows. It's not always on the north, by the way. So yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's what we do in the afternoons of those 10, or in the fall, 8 weeks. That's the homeschooling program. And then the other main school sort of relationship that we've built is with the Waldorf School in Edmonton Wise. And they have, as part of their grade 3 curriculum, that's their farm year. So every grade 3 class gets to know me in the fall. I do a couple things. I'm like making sauerkraut or spinning wool with them. And then they come out here and they have an introduction to the animals in the fall. And then throughout the winter, I might visit them 1 or 2 more times, make baskets or something. And then in the spring, for June, they come for 3 days and they sleep in the barn loft, and they cook over the fire for those 3 days. And they do the same sort of activities that the homeschooling crowd does, but they do that over 3 days. And they are exhausted by the end of it, but it's a joy, total joy. And they always put a play on with puppets at the end, which shows what they've done. So that's pretty fun. We have had a couple of groups with their Indigenous land-based training. They're trying to train their people to come and use this space. So I'm working on the Indigenous relationships. Myself not being Indigenous is a bit of a barrier, I think. I want them to know it's available, but it's hard to get in there and make those connections. So if anybody on this call has some of connections like that, please let them know that we're here and we're open to them using this space. That's important to me. And then the other connection we're making lately is with permaculture courses, with an emphasis on rewilding and increasing biodiversity. And then we have music festivals in spring and fall where we set up a hay wagon like a stage, and our own children or are now men, are a band. So they like to come and hit it off, but they've got tons of musician friends, and it's a pay what you can event. So it's and potluck. It's very grassroots music festival-y. And then we also have monthly pizza jams and weekly soup jams. So you're noticing a bit of a food thing there. So yeah, so it's all about the food and the music and connecting those things. And then last little note I had here was on sort of my sideline these days, which is growing for me, and that's basketry. I am a basket maker. We are now growing about 18 different types of basketry willow that has been grown for centuries in Europe for basketry. So it's longer, thinner, more flexible. And I am focusing on the therapy aspect of that, and handwork itself, getting your hands involved in something other than touching screens is so important. So the handwork, that it's a functional art, the thing that you're making at the end of it holds your socks or your groceries or your business cards or your eggs or whatever. It's a functional thing. That the materials used to make it are all locally found and abundant. You can go into the ditches wherever they've cleared the roads for line of sight. There are willows ready to be made into a basket. They sequester carbon. Yay! The more you coppice, the more they grow, the better it is. And I'm also working with cattails and bulrushes. Again, you cut them every year and they grow every year and they make baskets. So that's my sideline these days. And I'm hosting a Facebook group for Alberta-wide basket makers, and it's called Alberta Natural Baskets. So that's something you can share with anybody if you want. You can put all your pumpkins in there or your food, so they're good. It's another food related sideline, but yeah, baskets is another thing I'm doing. I think that's it. So yeah.
Wow, that is insane. You're a mentor and a leader. So anybody that would like to ask Marianne any questions or comment, although I will say, Marianne, what you're doing, my dream is that you would be connected with other people that do what you do or do similar things, so that it's a resource that, because maybe some people have not thought of some of the things that you're doing or want to find out more. And yeah, that's just incredible. Oh, I see a bunch of people. Anyway, anybody that's just coming in, I will say that I've recorded what Marianne spoke about, and I'll share the recording and we'll put it up on our YouTube page. Anyway, anybody that wants to chime in, please do.
Thanks, guys. I will respond though, Wanda, when you're saying you want more people to do what I'm doing, so do I. There are a few people trying. I think one of the main reasons I can do what I'm doing is because my husband bought this land. You know, we bought it together, I guess, but it was his job in the oil field that made our proximity to the city possible. Not to say that like someone with 2 acres can't do the same thing. It's just that that's what made it possible. That's why I can offer all of this stuff. I'm not getting paid for this. So I'm not getting any money through this. So somebody who needed to make it more sustainable from a traditional economic way, they would have a harder time. That's where I see some, it needs to fit. There's grants out there. I don't know anything about nonprofit status. I would like to learn about that, but that's, I think that could help people get more people like myself doing stuff like this.
Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, hey, hopefully you can hear me okay. Is this all right?
You bet.
Okay. I just was curious about, so it sounds like you're doing awesome stuff with kids, like it's like an educational, the educational component is something that most farms don't engage in. I'm curious about your yields, and like, are you like focused on production farm or more focused on the education side of things?
Good points. I would say that we don't keep track of yields. We would be called a hobby farm for sure. And the yields that are created here are done so by the communities, by the families that come to the gardens, and that create that food for themselves. So my hope is not to be the farmer, but to facilitate farmers, I guess. And so we have the land and others don't. And so I want people to use that space. There's that statistic, 2% feeds the other 98. And I think that's what needs to shift. I don't want to be that 2% making food for everybody. I really do believe more people need to get involved in making food. So that's where I focus my attention. As far as excess food, we do have excess, some of which I can talk about and some I can't. I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
Well, I know, so you're saying you are close to Edmonton. I know that there are other programs that are like Lacombe. They are pretty much right in Lacombe, and it's a school project that they've brought the animals and built like a sea-can barn for the goats, and they've just partnered with farmer Rocky Ridge. Sorry, so Laura, we'll get Marianne to respond to that in just a sec. And so they are operating right in town. So I don't think it's a barrier necessarily. It is making connections that has to happen. And your farm also would be more doable if zoning is changed. And so a barrier to a lot of people connecting with urban areas is zoning. They have got to allow, I mean, we're just getting to the point where chickens are allowed in town. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, Laura has a question. She's wondering what ages you work with.
Right. Thanks, Laura. So there's 2 groups that come with the homeschoolers. The Wednesday gang is between, well, the focus for programming is between 6 and 11 years old, but a lot, because they're homeschooling families, there's a lot of 4 and 2-year-olds and babes in carriers coming to those on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, we have the teenagers coming, and I just love them so much. They're that teenager, the junior high level, and they feel so competent after they've learned how to milk a cow, or they can stand on top of the manure pile and stare down a bull with horns and feel like they're all powerful. It gives them so much to be there with the animals, for sure. And then they'll fold up a scrap piece of paper into an envelope and start saving seeds in the fall, and they just can't stop. Oh, but I need these, and I need these, and I need these, and they're excited to have what's like it's like Halloween, only you're seed saving. So getting that excitement from all the seeds that they have, and the potential for all of those seeds to grow into some kind of food that they love to eat or sprinkle on their cheese or something. So yeah, it's pretty fun to watch them do that. Yeah. Okay.
If there are, I mean, if people think of something in the meantime. So what I was thinking about for the go forward from this is planning out what kinds of things the participants of this Alberta group need to find out. So we've kind of had a year of just Wanda randomly picking presenters, and I'm not even sure if that is what this group, if it's helpful in your programming. So in January, what I would like is that everybody come to the meeting with, what do you need? Like, what things are happening in your work that you need certain kinds of speakers, or you need to connect more time to connect with each other, because we do have, like, I'm thinking the big urban food programs like Hope Mission, like E4C, Brown Bags for Calgary Kids, even Lethbridge has a bigger program. And so what do you need? And then we've got Scott, who's in a more rural setting, and other more rural connections. What do you need? Because I'm all over it, trying to just make this Monday morning a useful time for everybody to connect or get information that you need. And I just saw that there was a comment from Marianne. Oh, there.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. So if there's a chance right now to just go around and introduce ourselves so that Marianne has an idea who she's talking to. And there's quite a few new people that are joining. And so I would really like this time for a round table for people to introduce themselves and just talk about what they are doing. And I'm just going to go to so Karen Henderson, you're first up. Introduce yourself and tell us what you're working on.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Henderson from Brown Bagging for Calgary's Kids. And so currently we are providing access to healthy, nutritious lunches to 6,000 kids in Calgary a day. And we do this through our main kitchen location and around 30 community kitchens around the city. So what we're working on right now is we had to leave our kitchen space rather abruptly on November 30th. The building's under renovation, and there was some debris that was coming into the kitchen, making it not a food safe environment. So one day it's going to be a really beautiful story about how the Calgary community came together. But on December 1st, we moved quickly into one of our community kitchens called Culinary Co-working, which is a 10,000 square foot space that operates 30 different entrepreneurs work out of that space. It's like a ghost kitchen. So we moved there for 3 days. And then now currently we are working at SAIT. So the SAIT culinary program has graciously welcomed us into their apprentice kitchens. So yeah, so I say, I'm Karen, I work at SAIT. And we're here only until December 21st, where we're going to move again, hopefully to the Calgary Stampede. That is the hope right now. We're just working on that. So that's what we're working on. So we're just working on really being grateful to our amazing volunteers in this community for enabling us to continue to feed kids without even missing a beat. It was pretty incredible what the team and volunteers have done here. So that's what we're working on. And then wishing you all a very Merry Christmas.
Hey, thanks, Karen. Wow.
I'm in my little Santa outfit today, trying to spread some joy and keep the people smiling.
Love it. Next one up, thank you very much, Karen, is Kaylee.
Hello. Sorry, I just had to find my unmute button there. My name is Kaylee Muse. I work for an organization called Element Society. I'm currently based in Vancouver, but we have a Calgary coordinator as well, Dan Gregorash, who has also been kind of taking over now that we hired him back in September. So the two of us, the organization we work for, Element Society, we have a couple different programs, but the main program that connects to the Alberta Food Coalition is our Eco Cooks program. So that's a high school aged environmental cooking program is the best way I can describe it. So we talk about any sort of environmental topics that connect with food. And then we also have a cooking component as well on one of the days. So yeah, so we just launched that. We just started offering that in Calgary this school year, which is very exciting. And again, for those who saw Dan more regularly, he had sort of been attending meetings as well. So if you see Dan, we work for the same people. But yes, I coordinate all of our programming from Vancouver. So we have a couple other environmental education programs. But yeah, that is our main connection here in Calgary. I'm also a Calgarian, so I was very excited to be able to help bring the programming back to Calgary. But yeah, very excited to just hear what other folks are doing in the area, and yeah, excited to start offering our cooking program for high school students.
Awesome, thank you. I will say, Colin, you're up next, but for those people who came on later, I am recording both. I'll send a recording of the coalition's in service and then this one so that you have an idea what went on. Okay, Colin, have at her.
Yeah, sorry, Wanda. I was actually, and I swear to God, on the Google Meet. So looking like an idiot just by myself there. But I'm Colin. I'm with High Prairie School Division. I'm the divisional psychologist, and part of my mandate is school wellness, and nutrition falls under that. We have 7 full lunch programs under division, but only 2 commercial kitchens. So we've in our schools that don't have commercial kitchens, we're kind of making do with whatever we can do. It's a huge demand in our schools from parent councils and from our student surveys around food security issues, and so we're looking at expanding our lunch programs in a few different schools. We just started up another lunch program in the west end of our division, and I was anticipating that project starting very slowly. Boy, was I wrong, and the demand has just been astronomical. So that was a program where we're just feeding kids 3 days a week. We're now having to seriously reconsider that and look at doing something full-time. But like everything, making one decision in one area impacts other things that are unintended consequences. Our cook happens to be a bus driver, and we don't have bus drivers, very many bus drivers. So that's a problem I'm wrestling with now. So
something that you said, Colin, twigged. Not that I think that we should be a buy-sell, but because you guys are all in the biz of school food and you've got infrastructure, feel free if you are thinking that, oh, we've got these fridges that somebody else in this group might be interested in. As Colin's saying, as we go into more and more ramped up programs, this infrastructure is going, I mean, why wouldn't you, if you could swap it out with somebody that you knew was also doing school food? And Kelly Bickford.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Bickford, as Wanda said, and I manage the school nutrition program here at E4C. We also have my colleagues Grace and Kelsey under Kelsey's name in the screen, Anne, who's our new director. And so I give a warm welcome to her to this group. It's her first meeting, and so we're very happy to have her as part of the team. And we also have Angie, who's our senior program coordinator, attending today. In terms of things we're doing with our programming, of course, we also are seeing increased need in terms of the food security demands at schools in the Edmonton region where we serve. We're currently in 39 schools where I would say almost 100% of them are seeing that increased need. We provide access to about 8,000 children a day with that program. And we're actually in the middle of expanding that. We did get approved for the pilot program under the Alberta government. And so we'll be going into 4 new schools, one of which is Cheryl's school with Edmonton Catholic. She's on the call as well today. And with those 4 new schools, we'll expand our reach to about 1,200 more children a day. So those are the big all-consuming things that we're working on right now. And I'm sure my team will fill you in if I've missed anything.
Well, I've just, and isn't that lucky? Because then I've got Anne, and then I've got Kelsey, and who is with Kelsey?
Grace is there too.
Grace. Oh, good. Okay. So Anne, would you like to go first?
Hi, sure. Thanks, Wanda. And thanks, Kelly. I'll just say a quick word. Kelly's really given the overview of the programs here at E4C, and really happy to be here today meeting all of you for the first time. This is week 2 for me. So just new to this role at E4C, Senior Director of School and Community-Based Programs. And it's an incredible portfolio, very inspired by all that I've learned so far in this first 6 days. So good to be here. Nice to meet you all.
Right on. So then we'll do Kelsey and then Grace, if you could just introduce yourself after Kelsey. Thanks.
And I'm Kelsey, and I've been on the E4C team since the beginning of August. So it's been very rewarding learning from Angie and Kelly, and also working alongside with Grace. And Kelly, I don't think you missed anything, so thank you.
Grace, I started just about the same time as Kelsey as well. So yeah, been learning a lot, and it's been exciting starting up some new schools this week. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheryl Shinkarek.
Shinkarek. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Cheryl Shinkarek, and I'm with Edmonton Catholic Schools. And in Edmonton, we have schools that are from our 100 voice programs up to grade 12. And we have approximately 97 schools in our school division. And we have seen a real increase over the last about year in our food insecurity. We currently serve over 55 schools some way, either through funding grants or through partnerships or donors, etc., to be able to support them from a divisional level in their nutrition programs. Like Kelly said, we just are really excited. We just received funding grant for one of our schools that's really going to serve a large newcomer and immigrant population. Within Edmonton, we've seen a huge influx of newcomers and immigrants coming to Canada and coming to Edmonton Catholic Schools, in large part to, first of all, pandemic and borders being open. Also, the unfortunate war that's going on in Ukraine. So we are seeing a lot of newcomers come in. And actually this morning was really interesting because I was meeting a family from Ukraine, and one of my staff was telling them about, school and coming to school, and they were talking about lunch. And she said, you'll have to pack a lunch to come to school. And they said, is there no hall where everybody goes to get food for lunch? And she had to explain to them, no, actually, we don't have that here in Edmonton, where everyone goes to the hall and everyone gets a lunch. So we do have some pockets of schools that offer lunch or breakfast programs, but this family was quite surprised that we didn't have a program. So I thought that was really interesting timing this morning. So thanks so much.
Although hopefully that won't be the case for long, eh? As we go into this national program.
Keeping the fingers crossed.
Yes. and really so many nations that we could learn from. Like, what do they, best practices, what do they do?
Exactly.
Angie, I should have introduced you when I was doing the other E4C. Thanks.
That's okay. My name is Anki Gakura, and I'm a senior program coordinator with E4C School Nutrition Program. I don't think I have anything in particular to add on to what Kelly said, but as a program, we're just trying to navigate the increased need and the increased need in food security across the schools that we serve at.
Cool, thank you. And I can't see because of my, oh, Amelia, please.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Amelia. I'm with a program called Communities Choose Well, which is underneath the Alberta Recreation and Parks Association kind of umbrella of programs. Choose Well, so this is my first meeting here, so nice to see you all. Yeah, Choose Well's mission is mostly based in the recreation sector. We're trying to generally make communities healthier, making the healthy choice the easy choice in terms of healthy eating and active living in communities across Alberta. Yeah, we currently are in touch with about 1,000-ish champions across the province, working with those community champions to sort of improve their capacity and empower them to keep making those awesome changes in their communities. So yeah, so in terms of, you know, why I'm here at this meeting, Wanda and I had a chat, I think a couple of weeks ago. Like I mentioned, Choose Well works primarily in the recreation sector, but you know, I think there's potential for collaboration and overlap with this sector. My role within Choose Well is to manage the healthy eating programming. So we have some e-courses, peer learning opportunities, etc. So yeah, I think there's potential overlap. So looking forward to hopefully coming to more meetings and yeah, continuing to meet new people and interact with you all. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good, we had a good meeting to get that synergy going. That was great. Over to you, Leanne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leanne Jacobson, and like Karen, I'm dressed in some Christmas attire as well. This is my candy cane shirt. I am a principal in a school it's called Berry Creek, in a small town in Alberta called Cessford. So I do half-time principal work, and then I'm also our division's health and wellness coordinator. In Prairieland, we have a nutrition program in all of our schools that offer like a healthy snack or breakfast for students, because some of our students spend up to an hour on the bus to get to school. So when they get to school in the morning, we like to make sure that they have something healthy to kind of start their day. We have some interesting programs in our schools. In Ontario, we have a school that has a student-led farm. We have a school that has a greenhouse, and at my school, we have a greenhouse and community garden. And that's just come out of the need to make sure to try and grow food. We are really rural, so I can speak for my school. Our families travel upwards of 75 kilometers in one direction to get to the nearest center, which would be Brooks or Hannah, to access a grocery store. So just trying to have healthy options for kids is always important. And then as a health and wellness coordinator, I'm always looking for great ideas that I can share throughout the division and promote health and wellness that way. So thank you for the invite to join today.
Thank you, Leanne. And then I'm down to, well, I've got to move over. Oh, operating out of your phone is not super efficient. Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Jonathan Espaios. I am the programs coordinator for Southern Alberta for Breakfast Club of Canada. I just wanted to echo the comments that are being shared that I've been doing a lot of school visits recently. I handle about 140 breakfast programs from Red Deer down. And I'm hearing a lot of the food insecurity and demand that has increased specifically for this year. And yeah, if you have any questions about breakfast programming, I'm your go-to guy if you're from Red Deer down. So, hello.
Thank you. And I see Priscilla. Priscilla's been was the first one on. I'm sorry, Priscilla, that you're towards the end. I see you're unmuted, Priscilla, but we're not hearing you. Yeah, I don't know if your microphone is on your how your microphone is functioning, but we still can't hear you. Oh, is that you, Priscilla? I'm just going to come back. Carmen, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm Carmen. I also work at the Breakfast Club of Canada with Jonathan, and I take care of the region that's basically Red Deer and up. And we also have another colleague that does some of the more northern schools in Alberta. So similar to Jonathan, I coordinate the breakfast programs in that region. And so I also work with Cheryl as well, and some other people in the Edmonton area. And like Jonathan, I've been able to go to some school visits in the Edmonton area so far and learn about how the impact of food insecurity has affected those schools, and also how their breakfast programs are running. So yeah.
Sorry. And Scott Hall.
Hello, hello. I'll try video, see if it works. Maybe, possibly. Hello. Does that video come through okay?
I'm not seeing you.
Hi, Scott.
Okay.
I can see you.
Oh, good. Oh,
okay.
There you are. Yep.
My name's Scott. I work in Muscogee. I run a universal school food strategy for all 4 nations, 11 schools, approximately 2,200 students, and we feed the staff as well. We have upwards of 300 staff that we feed in the schools, various school sites, and we've been doing this for 10 years. One of the key components of our program is our logistical ownership over all of the procurement. So we have trucks in a warehouse, and we've been able to keep our costs down significantly over the years, while providing the highest quality food for our students. We do breakfast, lunch, and snacks, and special events and field.
Is it just me, or did Scott freeze up? Oh, I think Scott froze up. Okay, I'm gonna go to, so I've got 2 more people, Nicole and then Laura. So Nicole, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Deschner and I work for Apple Schools. And so Apple Schools is a health promotion initiative. Our goal, we're currently working with 87 schools across Northern Alberta, Manitoba, British Columbia, and Northwest Territories. And we really work with school communities to try to help them promote healthy eating, physical activity, and mental health in their schools. And so we do this through taking a comprehensive school health approach and trying to help schools address the barriers that exist, so time, funding, professional development, and support. And so we work really closely with Cheryl from Edmonton Catholic School Division, and many of the schools we work with actually access E4C as well. as we prioritize vulnerable school communities and Indigenous communities. So that's sort of me. I'll just be quick as I know we're over time already.
Thank you. Yes, I just realized it's 11:03 and there are people that are leaving. So thank you, everybody, and hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas holiday. And we'll see you back in the new year. Hopefully everybody will be refreshed and relaxed. Have a good one. Safe travels.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Marianne. Bye-bye.